Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show. And now, here's Jeff Crilley.
Welcome back to the Jeff Crilley Show. This is a segment I've been looking forward to for a while. Tricia Holderman is cleaning up in the cleaning business, and she's ready to come clean on her secrets. Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Now, we've known each other for a while. One of the things that really impressed me about you is that you saw a niche and you decided to own it. What is the niche in the cleaning industry that you've gone into?
A lot of it was the patient point of view on the infection prevention side for hospitals. So I have Crohn's disease, landed in the hospital for several years. And while I was in there, I noticed that there were things that could have been done differently. And when I landed in the hospital back in the 80s, there wasn't, infection prevention tended to be more about bleaching everything. And now there are more and better technologies, better processes. And so I've been able to parlay that just from hospital-type cleaning into bringing that level of cleaning to dentist offices, doctor's offices, minor emergency clinics. And now the newest division is working in sports facilities.
Wow. But before we go into sports facilities, let's drill down a little deeper on the medical facilities. I mean, when you go into a hospital or a dentist's office, I mean, it smells clean. It smells like it's been cleaned. But in your experience, it's not a deep clean?
Not always. And part of that is, I mean, think about that. In an emergency room, you have, 200-300 people at a time showing up. And even though you may have disinfected that arm on the chair, the first time somebody else sits down with the germ, they've touched that chair, it's already infected again. So, that's kind of what we saw with the whole Ebola case, is where nobody knew what that guy had for the first, 60 hours that he had it, because there was no way to scan a person as they walk in the door and make sure they have nothing that is easy to transfer to the next person you might be sitting next to.
Wow. And I know I've seen several reports about hospital-acquired diseases.
Absolutely.
Talk about that for a second.
Well, that's where all the sick people are, so that's where all the germs are. And again, because it's such a mobile environment where there's everybody walking around, and you never know. It could be some kid puts his mouth on the water fountain who has a cold. Well, then the next person comes through, and some of those germs are transferred through that water to the next person drinking. Germs are just so easily transmittable.
And so your teams have a different approach to cleaning.
We do. We're using more of the newer technologies, more of the new processes, the newer chemicals, which not only put down and clean the chemicals, but actually they're called antimicrobials. They continue working even after somebody has touched them. There's even hand sanitizers and hand soaps now that do that, where you can wash your hands with the soap, and for like the next 5 or 10 washings, that antimicrobial film is still there. So if you wash your hands with this and you're touching a couple of door handles, your hands are still safe over those next few door handles as well. So we don't have a system in place that's going to save us from every germ, but we have things in place that will save us from some of them.
And now you're moving into sports facilities. Let's talk about that. That's exciting.
Wow, and that is, it's a whole different world to me, because I don't really follow sports very well, and I've been told on several occasions only talk germs when I am in front of these clients. Don't talk sports because it's kind of out of my league. But there are germs, and you hear about this. I mean, there was a young kid up in Pennsylvania not that long ago who had a little pimple on his rear end, and sitting on the benches in the locker room, he got a little infected, didn't think much of it, and certainly, these are macho guys. They're not going to go ask the trainer to look at a pimple on his bottom. 8 days later, he's dead.
Oh, my
The MRSA had gotten so severe that it had gotten through his bloodstream, gotten into his system. A couple of days later, his organs started shutting down, and 7 days later, the kid was dead.
Wow.
These are very serious germs. So a lot of the NFL, and you probably heard about this, Tampa Bay several years ago had a kicker who came down with a staph infection, and then one of the other players did, and one of the other players did. Well, it's pretty obvious that the protocols that we use in hospitals could be parlayed into sporting event facilities as well, for no other reason than there's so many people there. They have little nicks and cuts from everything, and they're very susceptible to getting these into their it could be something as simple as using this guy's towel to wipe some germs off your face. Well, if he has a little bit of a norovirus in his system, you just got it on your face. You have the tiniest little razor nick or something, you just put that norovirus right into your skin.
Wow. Tricia Holderman is my guest. She's the president and CEO of Elite Facility Systems and Elite Home Services. Let's talk a little bit about the home market, because you have a huge company.
The homes are my favorite part still. I still love actually cleaning houses, and I don't get to do that very much anymore. Houses are very unique in the fact that you don't really have as many germs, and you also have a contained number of people in there. So you can actually come in and do much safer processes there. And some of the things that we do as far as homes go, it's not just about getting the place clean. It is about knowing which products you can use on which surfaces. We do some very simple infection prevention kind of systems, whereas we use only the yellow rags in kitchens and only the green rags are in bathrooms, and orange rags get cleaned everywhere else. Mm-hmm. So we use some of those same protocols. We're being brought in more and more on houses that have like home health care kind of issues going on. So we really do bring the infection prevention side to houses as well.
Wow. And so a typical cleaning company would come in and just do some light dusting.
Dusting, wiping stuff down, throwing the trash and vacuuming.
Moving germs around.
Yes, exactly. And that is one of the things that we teach our clients even when we're there, is that you don't go back and forth with wipers. You go in the figure 8. So the dirt always stays on the front end of the cloth. And a lot of people don't understand that makes a huge difference, because you really are just moving the germs back and forth. Same with sponges. All you're doing is collecting those germs and moving them throughout the house.
I know for a lot of parents, they may have a young one who's allergic to chemicals. Talk about the chemicals used in homes.
In homes, you really truly can use a lot of green products. And the reason being is because you don't have so many outsiders who are bringing germs in. You don't see international people like with an Ebola person coming through your house on a daily basis. Right. So you can do it much easier that way. And we actually suggest that you use more and more green products in the house anyway, just because you do want these kids to become somewhat immune. And by using drastic products, you're not allowing that child to have their immune system exposed to some of the germs they need to be in order to build up their immune system.
Tell me about the early days of your company. Was it hard to get it off the ground?
First off, Dallas is like the most entrepreneurial spirited place in the world. I started cleaning. I was actually working in a aerobics center, and in between classes, I was constantly cleaning stuff. And a lady just asked me if I'd be interested in cleaning her house, and I did. She gave me $50 cash. I was 17 years old. $50 cash was a lot of money back in those days. Absolutely loved the cleaning part of it. Her next door neighbor hired me. Next door neighbor hired me. Next door neighbor. I made $300,000 before I was right before I turned 19 years old.
Wow.
And so, no, it wasn't hard. It was so insanely easy, but it's because I absolutely am passionate and love cleaning. So.
And you're a tireless worker. I can just tell you that. Tricia and I worked together for several years at Real News PR, and I could text you at 5:30 in the morning, and you'd be up.
Answer. That's one of those things. I've been an insomniac since I was a toddler, and so getting 3 and 4 hours of sleep a night has been very, very good for being a business owner.
Well, let's go back to, since you are so entrepreneurial and now you're moving into a new arena, is it tough to get a deal with the NFL? Is every stadium different? Is every owner different? How does that work?
It's a lot like the concussion issue right now. Is that germs and concussions have been around for 40 plus years. They're just now starting to think they need to be more preemptive about it. So they're on the cusp of truly buying into what we say. We're having a lot more success in interviews and conversations with public school systems. Mm-hmm. Collegiate levels tend to be our easiest market right now, because the college levels truly do get it's about athlete safety. It's not just about keeping the building clean. It is truly about making sure that next little pimple on the bottom doesn't get infected.
And is it hard to convince, like, I don't know if you're talking to the athletic director or who you're talking to, is it, if they say, well, we've got, the university has its own cleaning company, and we've been using them for years. How do you break that lock?
Most of those are actually done in-house. So they're using students who are trying to pay their way through college. So what our process is, we don't actually go in and clean the buildings. We actually go in and train their employees how to do it. And we train their employees just as if we're training one of our employees to go in and clean an operating room. Because it is the same process. It's the same chemicals. It's about making sure you hit every touch point, which a touch point is like a handle on a chair, the locker doors, shower stall handles. I mean, It's those kind of things that really have to be done. We also flood, what we call flood, the shower floors. So these locker rooms have 10, 15 showers in them. You flood it with the disinfectant and you leave it there for 10 minutes so it dwells and kills. And that's what we do in operating rooms. It's the same process. And you get it up.
I've seen these TV specials where they'll take the black light or fluorescent.
Yes.
I bet, like in a radio studio like this, where you have guest after guest, I mean, your skin is probably crawling right now,
Yes,
imagining the germs that are all around us.
The microphone is more what I'm worried about. I'm looking at the microphone, and it's scary.
I did tell her to eat the mic, get real close
You
to the
did
mic, and
say
she was
that.
like,
I'm like, maybe
respectfully, I'll just talk very loud from way over here.
But you're right. It is. The germs are everywhere, and there are places where, especially like on a microphone, where the germs are transmitted not just from the little tiny specks of spit that come out, but
Right.
also the air transmission, and then of course people touching it. So there's germs everywhere. I'm always going to have a job.
Okay, so somebody listening to this, whether they're in sports or they have a nice home or they have a medical facility, how do they get a hold of you?
My website's the best way, or calling our office at 214-340-0117.
And give us your website one more time.
Elite Facility Systems. It's ELITEFACSYS.com.
Awesome. Tricia, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining me. When we come back, a journalist who knows more about the DFW real estate scene than anyone in town. She routinely scoops the largest media outlets in DFW. What everybody wants to know about Candy's dirt is just ahead.
More of the Jeff Crilley Show coming up.